Hello and welcome. I'm Denise Fleck, the Pet Safety Crusader, and I have 3 things I'd like to share with you today in regards to our ongoing talks about pet disaster preparedness. May is Animal Disaster Preparedness Month, and my great friends at Pet Sitters International are offering my disaster preparedness certificate course at half price. So the information is on this post. Do get in on this chance to really learn and get prepared for your entire family member's sake. Although being a professional pet sitter is an awesome thing to be, you don't have to be one in order to benefit from this course. You can be a dog trainer or a groomer or a pet parent. Because you can actually even be a human without animals, because so many of the things we have to do for our animals, we have to do first for ourselves and our homes and our homesteads. So it would be just wonderful if everybody could get prepared, because it's really no longer if something is going to happen, but more likely when. And then you'll be able to help the people and the animals in your life. What I'd like to talk with you about today, number 1, is your animal emergency center. Not your veterinarian, but your animal ER. Now, some are combined units these days, but the animal ER in some cities is open 24/7. In other cities, it opens like in 6 p.m. and closes 8 the next morning to fill that gap of time when your veterinarian isn't open. But I strongly encourage you not to just know where your animal ER is, not just, code it into your cell phone, but actually in the next week, give yourself an assignment to drive there. It's so important you know the route from home, the route from your dog park, the route from your favorite hiking location, because when something happens, you don't want those brain cells flying out your ears. You want to be able to go basically on autopilot and get to that location. Those of you that are pet sitters or maybe mobile groomers, or those of you that take your dogs lots of places, may need to know where several of these locations are in relation to the different places you go with your pet. Because when you're out and about, that's when things are, very likely to happen. In addition to knowing where your animal ER is, I really encourage you to find out what services they offer. So when you do that drive-by this next week, don't just drive by. Actually go in the parking lot, park, notice where the closest location is, especially those of you that might have a 180-pound Newfie, for instance. You'll want to get as close to that door as possible if the animal isn't feeling his best or can't walk. But go in and find out what services they offer. Do they have blood if your pet needs transfusions? Do they offer anti-venom if your pet's been bitten by a rattlesnake? Do they have MRIs? The more you know and the more you can take off your worry list will really help, because remember, animals are so perceptive to our emotions that the calmer we stay, the calmer they stay. In addition to knowing what services the animal ER offers, you're going to want to know how they accept payment. We never want to be caught with a surprise when we have an injured or sick pet. So find out. Maybe you can, apply for care credit to have that ready to go if you need it. Maybe you have the correct credit cards they already take. It's really important if you often or even rarely go away and have somebody else care for your pet. I hope, as you know, that I'm always preaching the benefits of a professional pet sitter, but if it's a family member or anybody else too, it's important, whomever it is, that they know where that emergency center is and that you've made arrangements with that emergency center that if you can't be reached, so-and-so has the ability to request treatment and make payment for the pet. You may need to have signatures on file. You may even need to have paperwork notarized. Find out now before you need to know. The second thing I want to talk about today is your animal emergency card. These are the ones I make that go into my pet disaster preparedness kits. But basically, this is a card. This is the front, and this is the back, and this should be next to your driver's license in your wallet. These are for the kind of things we never want to think about happening, but could, and they're most imperative for people that live alone with animals. God forbid you're out, running to the store, going to the post office, just doing a quick errand and expect to be back to fight over Fluffy very quickly, and the worst happens. The paramedics whisk you off, you're taken away to the hospital, you may be unconscious, you may have oxygen or a tube in your mouth, you can't talk, and nobody knows you have precious loved ones at home that need to be fed, cared for, taken out, litter boxes changed, so on and so forth. That's what this is all about, so that first responders will know that you have pets at home and that they need to go ahead and contact one of your designated caregivers on the back. Again, if you're somebody who has a professional pet sitter, as part of your family, that person should certainly be there. But you need to have a couple other people too. And you can't just write down names and numbers. Really make sure these people are on board, talk to them, and make sure they know your pets. Because if they're going to possibly or potentially care for your pets, you want to make sure your pet knows them, that they've got a good rapport, and that they know your pet's routine, or they know where you have it written down. So really, really important thing, for the safety of our pets. And I'm going to expand on that just a little bit. Encourage everybody to go visit my friend Deborah Hamilton. Her website is hamiltonlawandmediation.com. And Deborah a while ago hung up, as she always says, her litigation pumps, and she mediates animal cases. But she's also put together some great programs on how to get you prepared in the event something happens to you, to make sure your pets are cared for. And there's a lot more than just writing it in the will, because sometimes things can happen to you and you aren't dead, which is, probably a good thing. But still, you may need your pets cared for and taken care of. So Deborah can take you through what she calls her MAP journey, M-A-A-P. So go to her website and learn more about that, because I know these are the things, along with PEP first aid, disaster preparedness, all the things I talk about. Deborah and I joke that she and I are always talking about the things people don't want to think about. We don't want to think about us leaving this earth and leaving our pets behind, nor do we want to think about the reverse. But it's important for them, as well as it is for us, that we take the time to make these plans. So besides having this animal emergency ID card next to your driver's license in your wallet, do visit hamiltonlawandmediation.com and see how Deborah can get you ready. The last thing I want to talk about today in my whole disaster preparedness quest is a pet alert sticker. People often put these on the window by their front door, maybe even on the front door. It just, like it says here, please rescue our animal family members. And you write down, we have 3 dogs, a cat, 7 birds, a gecko, guinea pigs, whatever it is you happen to have. And the emergency contact numbers. Number 1, that should be probably your cell phone number, but again, it can be that professional pet sitter, it can be a neighbor up the street, because if we have to evacuate, if it's not safe for us, it's not safe for our pets either. And the Pet Safety Crusader is going to say, take your pets with you, do not leave them behind. However, I realize there are times where we may be at work and we're not allowed back up our street due to a fire or a flood or whatever might be happening. So in those cases, we're going to need to depend on other humans to rescue our pets. I know a lot of people think, well, the fire department is not going to necessarily go in and rescue our pets. And that may be true. It depends on your community, how big of an area it is, also how big the disaster is. The fire department, those first responders, their first order of business is saving the humans. When they're done with, got all the humans to safety, they can in turn then go help pets. A lot of them, as you know, I've talked about before, have been trained actually by my dear friend Deborah Giocchiapuzio and the Emma Zen Foundation that she started, where they have been supplied with pet oxygen masks. However, the humans do come first. But there are animal control officers. There are animal response teams like the one I used to be on in Southern California, and they're all across the country. And there are other local units that, the fire departments will give them permission to go into the homes and rescue pets. If there's a sticker, people know there are pets in there that need to be rescued. So, that makes it a lot easier rather than just going in a house blindly wondering, what creatures might be in there that need to get to safety. The thing I'm going to emphasize, however, for you is that as great as these are, if you evacuate with your pets, like I'm begging you to do so if you happen to be home at the time, when you do evacuate, just take that magic marker and cross this out or tear it off real quickly off your window or door so that people aren't spending time looking for pets that, are no longer there, and that they can move on to the next house of animals that need to be rescued. So thanks so much for tuning in today. You know, this has been a whole month of animal disaster preparedness. You can go to my website, my blog. You can go see the videos archived on my blog on YouTube. But I just hope you'll take these tough topics seriously and really get prepared, because if you prepare for the worst, hopefully the worst won't happen. Animal Emergency Center, know where it is and know what services they offer. Have your animal emergency ID in your wallet with your designated caregivers you've talked to ahead of time, and they agree to help you in that time of need. Have your pet alert sticker ready to go. And, you know, by all means, just get my whole pet disaster preparedness pack. Write out your emergency plan like we talked about earlier this month. And again, look at this post and consider taking the certificate course while it's still half price through May 31st, and hopefully then you will be prepared and you and your pets will survive. Have an awesome Memorial Day weekend. I'll see you on Monday with some Memorial Day pet safety tips. Bye-bye.